All right. How we doing today, guys? This is Mr. Noland back with you. Today we are going to be talking about more problems on adding and subtracting integers because we know this is a very tough topic for sixth graders because this is really the first time you really saw it. You might have seen it for just a split second back in elementary. But let's go ahead and get started here. The first problem we have here is just 12 minus 8. Well, what I teach my students to do is to separate each term. A term is a number, and attached to that number is a math symbol. So, for example, on this first one, the number 12, it is a positive 12. That is one term. The negative 8 is another term. So these are two different terms. So now we also talked about in my class people with positive attitudes. Those are my positive numbers. And people with negative attitudes. Those are my negative numbers. So if we look at this first one, do I have more positive people or do I have more negative people? Well, on this problem I have more positive people. Knowing that, we know my answer will be positive. And now since I have positive people and negative people, I have two different signs here, a positive and a negative. Those numbers must be subtracted. So 12 minus 8 is 4. If you want, you can leave it as a positive 4 just like so, or you can write it just as the normal 4. Now let's look at the second one. This one says 8 minus 12. Again, start by separating out each term. So the positive 8 is one term. The negative 12 is another term. Now let's see here. Do we have more positive people or do I have more negative people? Well, in this case, I have more negative people. So we know my answer will be negative. And now since I have two different signs, I have a positive and a negative, we have to subtract the numbers. So 12 minus 8 will give you 4. So your answer is just negative 4. Now let's go ahead and up these questions to be a little bit harder. Oh, now we got some parentheses. Alright, again, start by separating out each term. This number 3, it's a positive 3, is a term all by itself. Then I have to subtract the negative 4. This is another term by itself. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave this positive 3 alone. That term is all by itself. But then if you notice, I got these double signs right back to one another. You notice those double signs are exactly the same. So if both double signs are exactly the same, it automatically turns those double signs into a positive. So those two negatives automatically turn into a positive. Now we have our math. What is 3 plus 4? Well, it's just 7. I will come back and do another example I did with the students. I think we'll understand this one a little bit better. Actually, you know what? I'll do it right here with this one. Start by separating out each term. So the negative 3 is 1, and the minus negative 6 is my other term. Okay. Well, for this example, let's say I have 3 students in one of my classes that have terrible attitudes. So those are my negative 3. I also have in another class 6 students with terrible negative attitudes. And I'm fed up with their negative attitudes. I'm tired of it. So I told the students, I'm going to call home, I'm going to email home, and I'm going to talk to the parents. And I guarantee something will get done at home. Because there's no way you should be disrespecting another adult. So they get a lecture, grounded, whatever it is that happens. But what they do is they get rid of their child's negative attitude. And the student comes back the next day, and instead of having a negative attitude, their attitude changed to a positive attitude. So reflecting right here, the double sign, since they are both the same, will automatically turn into a positive. So let's look at this now. I have 6 students that converted into positive attitudes, but I still have 3 students with negative attitudes. So what am I left with? Well, let's see. Negative attitude, negative, negative, positive, 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 positive. Well, I also told the students that opposites attract one another. So the students with the negative attitudes get their googly eyes when they see that person with the positive attitude, and they're like, let's go on a date. So they go on a date, and their attitudes zero out one another. So those 2 conflicting attitudes zero out one another. Well, after I do all the zeroing out, what am I left with? I'm left with 3 positive attitudes. So the answer is just a positive 3. All right, 2 more. Ooh, not too bad here. Let's start by separating out each term. So I have a positive 4 as my first term, plus a negative 8 as my second term. I'm going to start by circling my double signs. Double signs, again, are signs back to back, like you see here. Now on this case, if your double signs are opposites, they're not the same, then it is automatically a negative. That's just the math rule. So now what we have is 4 positive attitudes and 8 negative attitudes. So what do I have more of? Well, I have more negative attitudes. Therefore, my answer will be negative. And since the signs are opposites, I have a negative and a positive, you must subtract the numbers. So 8 minus 4 is 4. Let's do one more. Start by separating out each term. Again, I have my double signs. Again, the signs are opposites. I have a positive and a negative. So since the signs are opposite, it automatically becomes a negative. Well, now would you look at this? I got 6 students with a negative attitude, and I have another 4 students with a bad attitude. So here's what happens. Since these signs are the same, you keep the sign and you add the numbers. If you want to see what it looks like visually, I have 6 students with negative attitudes, and I have 4 more students with negative attitudes. How many students do I have total with negative attitudes? I have 10 of them with a negative attitude. I hope this video helps with adding and subtracting integers. If you ever have any questions, please send me a remind or come in for tutoring. We offer tutoring every single morning, Monday through Friday, from 7:45 until 8:20, and we also offer after-school tutoring Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 3:45 until 5. All right, guys, y'all have a great evening. Bye.